Mater marks a lot of firsts for the Cars Diecast line. He was the first ever variant of Mater released aside from regular old Mater. He was the first ever car to be exclusively packed in with a playset. He was potentially the first character variant ever released. And he was also the first ever Cars Diecast to be nowhere to be found in the movie. This Mater is one of the most obscure diecasts out there, despite the fact that he was released in 2006 and was one of the first cars ever made. He's now one of the most forgotten and is pretty expensive online. Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video and another episode of Have You Heard Of, the series where I tell the stories of some obscure things from the Cars franchise. Today we're going to be going into the full history of Rollin Bowlin Mater, so let's get started. The Cars Diecast line began in April of 2006, just a few months before Cars came out in June of 2006. The initial lineup included 12 characters, whose terrifying original prototype pictures you could see right here. Released alongside them were 4 2-packs. A second wave came out in July of 2006, which included 4 additional characters, including 2 character variants, Green Ramon and Dinoco Lightning McQueen. These two stand out for being the first ever character variants released as singles, but they weren't the first character variants released ever. That honor goes to a car called Rollin Bowlin Mater, released in a playset called Mater's Rollin Bowlin, which was released in the spring of 2006. The goal of this playset was simple. It was a bowling game. You would drive a car down the cardstock lane, which had a bunch of details relating to Mater printed on it, including his sign from like an aerial view, which is kind of weird, but whatever. At the end of the bowling lane was a big plastic piece that resembled the front of a car that lit up and made noise. The batteries were presumably stored in this giant tire that rested right next to it, and the button up top would presumably reset the pins once a car knocked into them. Of course, the pins are meant to resemble the teeth of the car's grille. It was very hard to find footage of gameplay of this playset. I just wanted to watch some to confirm what the lights did. They do nothing. They just light up and make noise. It really doesn't seem to correspond to how many pins you knock over or anything. Although when you get a strike, the right light seems to blink and make noise instead of the left one. It was a kid's toy in 2006. They probably didn't have the technology yet to count how many pins you knock down. Rollin Bowlin Mater himself is painted in light blue, with certain parts of him painted in black, like the engine, rearview mirrors, and towing assembly. His name, as well as radiator springs, are written on the side in a very 1950s styled font. Really reminds me of a lot of the signs you could see all throughout Radiator Springs, and it fits the aesthetic of the Cars series very well. Aside from the face, the writing, and the little star designs on either side of him, this Mater is very blank. In fact, his roof lights, siren, and back with a caution stripe and license plate aren't even painted or printed on. It's all just blue, black, with a little bit of additional detailing. This Mater, with his light blue color scheme, sort of resembles Brand New Mater, who Mattel would go on to release in early 2007. However, unlike Brand New Mater, this Mater didn't appear anywhere in the movie! Nowadays, we sort of look back at this playset as something odd from the early days of the Cars line, something that didn't appear in the movie and included a Mater that was nowhere to be found in it. But in hindsight, it makes perfect sense. So many kids' toy lines coming out alongside movies just make a bunch of random toys that didn't even appear in the movie and just include variants of characters that also were nowhere to be found. This Mater was released so that you could have a game to play with your newly released Cars diecasts, and they threw in an exclusive Mater with a paint job that they made up to be the draw to buy the set. While most toy lines for kids' movies go out of store shelves a few months after the movie comes out, the Cars diecast line persisted, and it still persists to this day. Whenever we get something nowadays that didn't appear in the movies, it typically appeared in a different piece of media or is part of an exclusive toy line that was given its own backstory. We rarely ever get things like Rollin Bowlin Mater nowadays, things based off of absolutely nothing. Even Hot Rod Steve Herschel was based off of the Hot Rod legends we see in the Cars 3 credits. Still don't know why he exists, but there you go. Rollin Bowlin Mater stands out as an oddity of the modern Cars toy line because it comes from a time when we didn't know the Cars diecast line would still be going strong 15 years later. It comes from a time when the Cars Diecast line was just another kids movie getting its typical toy push. Nowadays, the Cars Diecast line is a whole lot more than just that, and it's left Rollin Bowlin Mater in the dust. Rollin Bowlin Mater was mainly released in the Rollin Bowlin playset, but he was actually released in two other places. The first was a character pack 6-pack. There were two of these released, both of which just included 6 random Cars Diecasts, and hey look, Rollin Bowlin Mater got in. The far more well-known other way to get Rollin Bowlin Mater, though, would be the 2006 factory sealed set. Only 500 of these were made in late 2007, and I believe they were sold exclusively to members of the Hot Wheels Redline Club, who, then in 2008, were also given the chance to buy the Motor Speedway of the South set. This set cost $150 and included one of each Cars diecast released in 2006, both singles and 2-packs, all on their original cards. But to ensure that you got every car released in 2006 by buying the factory sealed set, they created brand new single card backs for Rollin Bowlin Mater and Dirt Track McQueen. Much like Rollin Bowlin Mater, Dirt Track Lightning McQueen was released exclusively in a playset in 2006, that being the Radiator Springs Mountain Challenge, or as I knew it as a kid, the Dirt Track playset that takes literal years to put together. Still don't think I know how to build that thing right. Originally named Willys Butte Lightning McQueen, this McQueen became far more common when Mattel released him as a single in 2007, renaming him Dirt Track Lightning McQueen. They then included this single-carded version of him, now still named Dirt Track Lightning McQueen, in the 2006 factory sealed set, and Dirt Track Lightning McQueen has been a pretty consistently released car ever since. Of course, getting one on a 2006 card is very rare, but just getting this car in general, he's pretty cheap. He's re-released all the time. Meanwhile, Rollin Bowlin Mater has faded into obscurity, becoming rare as time went on and never being re-released ever again. Which is certainly a shame. Although he's very obscure and didn't appear in the Cars movies, he was the first ever Mater variant. And if he came out before the Radiator Springs Mountain Challenge set, that means he was the first ever character variant ever released in the Cars diecast line. Again, Dirt Track McQueen may have come out before him, it depends on which of those playsets came out first, but still, this Mater may very well have been the first ever character variant released, and we'll probably never see him again simply because he never appeared in the movie and was just made for the toy line. Nothing on this Mater explicitly states that he's meant for Rollin Bowlin. It just says Tow Mater on the side, so if they really want to, they could re-release him with a new name. But they probably never will. Leaving several collectors, such as myself, to have every 2006 release except for Rollin Bowlin Mater, as all of them continue to be re-released, and he does not. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching this video and this episode of Have You Heard Of. I really enjoyed making this one. I always like doing these deep dives on obscure Cars content and items. So if you have any suggestions for future episodes of Have You Heard Of, definitely let me know in the comments. See you guys next time. Bye now.